Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1Mby1M Strategy Roundtable for Entrepreneurs. 1Mby1M, as you know, is the first and only global virtual accelerator in the world for technology startups. And our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue. In support of that mission, we do a lot of work in the media, and we do these free mentoring roundtables every week. We've been doing these since the fall of 2008. In fact, this predates the 1Mby1M acceleration program. This is the experiment that led us to the full acceleration program. There were a bunch of different things. I'm going to spend some time today talking about the 1Mby1M Ambassador Program, and in there you will also hear about some of our journey with the media work that we do. But for the moment, let me set some housekeeping rules. The event is being recorded. You will have a recording available on our YouTube channel, 1M1M Roundtables. Every single session that we've done is available there. We've had over 200,000 people participate in these sessions over the years. And on Twitter, you will find us at 1M1M and Astro. And hashtag 1M1M is the live tweeting hashtag for today. The DataStax 1M1M Startup Challenge is still open. You're welcome to apply. This is for the Cassandra, DataStax Enterprise, and AstraDB developer entrepreneurs, or entrepreneurs developing projects that are built on top of the Cassandra DataStax Enterprise platform. This is a roundtable. I do want you to all participate as much as possible. We have two scheduled pitches later on in the program. First, we are going to do something different today, but all along, please, by all means, participate. It is a roundtable, not a broadcast. And before we begin, I want to wish all of you all around the world who are celebrating Diwali a very happy Diwali, an auspicious occasion. And I hope you are getting to do whatever little bits we can do right now safely. I am personally not in favor of parties in the middle of these conditions, but I'm sure you can judge for yourself what is the right thing for you to do. Okay, well, welcome everybody, and especially welcome to those of you who are either already committed to being a 1M1M ambassador or are considering being so. This is a workshop to begin with on how to build entrepreneurship communities all around the world. And that has been the 1M1M mission all along. You know, we have tried to support entrepreneurship communities all around the world, not just in the major metros in the world, but also deep into the heartlands, and we've always paid attention to entrepreneurship happening in underserved geographies and so forth. So our mission has always been to democratize entrepreneurship education, incubation, acceleration, and everything related to those objectives. We want to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million in annual revenue. Notice, I'm not saying that we're trying to fund 1 million companies. That would not be possible because of the simple reason that venture capital operates on a very specific model. Venture-funded companies need to go from 0 to $100 million in 5 to 7 years. If you're seeking venture financing, you have to show that your business has the characteristics of hypergrowth and hyperscale. Now, that is not a natural state of business. Most businesses don't fit that parameter. So, but there are a lot of other businesses that don't have to do, that kind of, hypergrowth, that can build businesses differently, maybe build sustainable businesses without exit. Sustainable businesses obviously means profits. So that's all within our mission to support. Our idea of what entrepreneurial success means is much broader than what a venture capitalist idea of entrepreneurial success is. And just to underscore a very important metric, over 99% of the companies that seek venture financing are rejected because they don't follow the venture model, the venture trajectory. And they can't because they don't have the characteristics of hypergrowth. But 1Mby1M's mission is not that. 1Mby1M's mission is to help a much broader realm of entrepreneurs, the other 99%, yes, the less than 1% that have venture scale ambitions, but also the other 99%. So let me talk a little bit about the ambassador program that the first part of today's this show is going to be focused on the 1Mby1M ambassador program and how we envision building it. You know, we have done a lot of stuff. We've built a lot of building blocks, a lot of infrastructure over the last decade plus, actually over the last 15 years. And today, we have the building blocks of being able to partner with a lot of ecosystems around the world and enabling and empowering those ecosystems to also collaborate and participate in this process of leveraging that infrastructure to help entrepreneurs. So let us do it together. And it doesn't matter how small your entrepreneurship community is. We have a way of being able to work with you. But let us be structured, let us be systematic. First building block that we have put together this summer that is going to be very helpful for you to leverage is a scalable curriculum on Udemy. We have released in the last 3-4 months about 30 courses on Udemy. And this covers some of the most fundamental pieces of entrepreneurship. I can go over what those courses are. Maureen, could you please provide the link to the Udemy courses for people to look at? Basically, what you're going to see there is a chunk of courses on bootstrapping. See, with our mission of helping 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million in annual revenue and beyond, bootstrapping is really important because a lot of companies will have to bootstrap all the way. And then there's going to be companies who want to raise money. So we have a whole chunk of courses on the different aspects of fundraising, pre-seed, seed, post-seed, different regional nuances of fundraising, deep tech fundraising, alternatives to unicorn chasing investors. You'll find a whole range of courses on that, which helps you understand how investors think. You can't raise money. If you don't understand how investors think, you cannot raise money. Investor-entrepreneur fit is as important as product-market fit. So please, out of the gate, do not try to go raise money. And if you're building a community of entrepreneurs, please do not advise your community of entrepreneurs to mindlessly, blindly chase investors before chasing customers. That's, through all these case studies, that's what we're trying to do, is establish these fundamentals. Now, the whole curriculum is case study based. 1Mby1M has been doing case study development now for 16 years, since 2006. And we have thousands of case studies of successful entrepreneurs, including hundreds of unicorn entrepreneurs, hundreds of heavily venture-funded companies, and hundreds, many hundreds of bootstrap companies. So we have looked at the problem from many different directions. You can basically follow the methodology and either bootstrap first, raise money later, or bootstrap all the way. All of that is fine. But what we have done here is provided any community leader to use this curriculum in a scalable format. And my take is that if any community can take thousands and thousands of young aspiring entrepreneurs and put them through about a couple of 100 hours of case study based methodology training based on this Udemy curriculum, that community is going to be fundamentally well positioned to take the next step. And there are a lot of next steps they have to take, but that first step of establishing a very deep groundwork of knowledge, scalable, democratized knowledge, is really important. The other thing that is really important about Udemy is the pricing. It really works with our mission of democratizing entrepreneurship education. So we have priced our courses at the $39.99 to $89.99 range. But every week, Udemy runs promotions. And if you pay attention, you can acquire these courses for $10 to $15 each. And that is amazing, right? If you can, acquire as many courses as you want for $10 to $15 each, you can, get 20, 30 courses for very little money. And if you just commit at the, wherever you are in your entrepreneurial journey, if you just give yourself this methodology training, that is going to be really important. And all of you who are building communities, please try to ground your community in a basic methodology knowledge. So that's one of the most important building blocks. This is a screenshot from the Udemy courses. You can take a look. If you just go to Udemy and do a search on my name, Sramana Mitra, all these courses are going to come up. I've talked about bootstrapping techniques. I've talked about fundraising nuances. We also have domain and geo-specific case studies. Now, domain-specific case studies are really important. We haven't finished. We're still working on these, but we have released, for example, a fantastic course on artificial intelligence entrepreneurship. We've released one on digital health. We've released one on online education, one on e-commerce, and one on two-sided marketplaces. So each domain has its nuances. The trends are different, the technology trends are different, the business trends are different, the business models are evolving, the user behavior is evolving, and the competition is evolving. When I first started, Amazon was only selling books. Now Amazon is Amazon. So, if you're trying to do an e-commerce venture, how do you play in that scenario? This is very domain specific. So if you have aspirations of doing an e-commerce venture, you should study what's happening in that venture, in that world, through the case studies, and really get a sense of how to situate yourself, how to position yourself. We've done the same thing with a lot of geographies. We have a whole Latin America specific coverage and India specific coverage. We have a Europe specific course as well. And what you see in all of these is a lot of lessons from the trenches. These are entrepreneurs telling you what they have done, how they have won. And if you don't like case study-based learning, you should not be using 1Mby1M, by the way. This is case study-based learning. And if you don't like case study-based teaching, you should not also be using this to teach your community or your students. And the speakers are world-class. These are people who have built great companies. They're investors who have helped build great companies. So it's, all these case studies are people whom you would not be able to meet so quickly. Like if you spend, let's say, a couple of 100 hours on this curriculum, a series of courses, the people you're going to meet through that, there is no other place where you will meet all these people talking heart to heart with you through these case studies anywhere else. There's no other way to have this level of intimate conversation. Another very important building block for what we are doing today with the 1Mby1M Ambassador Program is that the monetization model is built in. Many ecosystem leaders over the years have been doing development work that has been kind of thankless, and there hasn't been a good monetization model for them to support their work, sustain their work. The Udemy 1Mby1M affiliate program is a very nice, simple monetization model. So the courses that you're using to train your community is a revenue share model with us and Udemy. So please join the Udemy 1Mby1M affiliate program. The link is on our website. Maureen will give you the link right now, and you're very welcome to become an affiliate. Remember one thing though, to be qualified, to be approved as a Udemy affiliate, you have to apply to be a Udemy affiliate. You will need at least 1,000 followers somewhere in social media or 1,000 visitors to your blog or whatever, but the starting point to become an ecosystem leader in this case is going to be that 1,000 follower cutoff. So if you have 1,000 followers on LinkedIn, that would work. But you do need a little bit of a following with which to begin your work. Now, many of you have a lot more than that. We have all been spending time on social media and using social media for our businesses. I personally have about 440,000 followers on LinkedIn. So, many of you have 25,000, 30,000 followers, and that's fine. You would have no problem getting into the program. But our main point here is that I would say the thing that we have achieved in this round of building the 1Mby1M ambassador program is a monetization model, and that is really important to be able to, sustain communities everywhere. So conceivably, you're going to build communities of tens of thousands of people and who are going to learn entrepreneurship, and you will have a way to monetize that. Now, one of the things that I have done in my journey is I've used content, great content, as one of the core building blocks of community building. Many of you probably first encountered me through my writings, right? I've been blogging since 2005. I was a Forbes columnist until 2010, and so on and so forth. I write extensively on LinkedIn, so many of you follow my content, and that's how you know me. So I will share in the next segment. I will share with you how I have done it, but I strongly encourage you to consider building a content strategy for your community. And also you have to propagate that content through social media. There are a lot of tools right now that didn't exist as surely when I started. Of course, you can do a blog, and it's very easy to do blogs these days. You can do WordPress. It's not complicated. And then there's LinkedIn, Facebook, Medium, Twitter. You can write, you can publish on LinkedIn, you can publish on Medium. You can use Facebook to propagate. You can also write on Facebook, and then you have Twitter. So all these mediums will help you propagate the content, but really at the heart of all this is producing great content and a real content strategy. So I would strongly, strongly encourage you to consider making content a major part of your ecosystem building strategy. So on that note, I'm going to spend some time talking about how to build and monetize a technology entrepreneurship blog. What you are trying to do is essentially build an entrepreneurship community. I tried to do that, and I've succeeded in doing that. We have a community of, over 500,000, probably getting closer to 1 million people at this point through our various different touch points. But it all began with my blog. That time was kind of pre-social media, so you couldn't have built this community purely on social media yet. LinkedIn kind of started in 2004, so it took time before LinkedIn became a major, factor. So let's spend some time talking about how to build and monetize a technology entrepreneurship blog. And you can ask me any amount of questions through this process. I will answer as much as possible. And even after today's discussion, you can always come back and talk to me at these roundtables. I started blogging on technology entrepreneurship in April 2005. The internet was very different then. There was no smartphone. Social media was just starting. Facebook and LinkedIn were new concepts. Today, in 2021, building and monetizing a technology entrepreneurship blog requires a very different strategy than the one that I started with. I have written a 9-part series, which you have access to. Maureen will share the link with you in the public chat. I will deal with all the top, subjects or subsegments of what needs to be dealt with. Mission and positioning, why are you doing this? We'll talk about platform strategy, what platform should you write on? We'll talk about content strategy, what should you write about? I will talk about monetization strategy, should you make money, how do you make money? Syndication strategy is I have used syndication extensively, should you syndicate your content? And bidirectional syndication is also an issue. SEO strategy, what are the search engine implications? Social media strategy, how do you engage with social media? Community strategy, as you build your community, how should you engage with the community? And then metrics, what user and revenue numbers should you target? What is reasonable? Blogging is hard. It takes immense discipline to keep a readership engaged and interested over a long period of time. However, there are many benefits to blogging, of which 2 are of particular significance. The first, adding value to a broader community is extremely rewarding. And in this case, the context in which we are having this discussion is that you are thinking about blogging to support a technology entrepreneurship community. So that is the number 1 reward here, benefit. The second is personal branding as a thought leader and a community leader is both a valuable career asset and an immensely enjoyable experience. I am writing this series in my 17th year of blogging. This discussion we are having is in my 17th year of blogging. The strategy that has made me successful is not going to be your strategy. You have modern tools at your disposal that did not exist when I started. In fact, some of the tools I will point you to have only become available this year in 2021. However, I will draw from my experience and give you as precise a strategy as possible so that you can build something consequential with a reasonable degree of predictability. So before I go on to the next topic, which is mission and positioning of your blog, does anybody have any questions? No? All right, we're gonna keep moving through. Just keep putting in your questions in the public chat and I'll pick up questions as we go along. So why are you doing this? I started blogging because I love to write and I have a lot of opinions on all sorts of topics. I love entrepreneurship. I've always been passionate about entrepreneurship development, ecosystem building, entrepreneurship education, incubation, acceleration, and I have a love for development economics. My second major in college was in economics, computer science and economics, and I've always viewed entrepreneurship as an important tool for economic development. I also love to teach. I have insider track access to Silicon Valley and many technology ecosystems around the world. I wanted to bring all this to a large readership and democratize access to the knowledge that I have had the privilege of gaining. And that theme, I talked about that theme at the very beginning of today's session. That theme you will see runs all through 1Mby1M, the whole case study process of bringing all these high-profile people to make them accessible has been the theme. My journey with writing a technology entrepreneurship blog is different from that of TechCrunch, for example, which focuses primarily on news and very specifically on funding news. So ask yourself why you want to do a technology entrepreneurship blog, and I'm assuming that ecosystem building is one of your goals. So let's assume some of the personas that I know exist in the ambassador program. Perhaps you're a professor of entrepreneurship and you want to communicate with your students. Perhaps you're an experienced entrepreneur and you want to disseminate knowledge about what you have learned in your own journey. Perhaps you're from a part of the world that is not as far along in its entrepreneurship ecosystem development efforts, and you want to contribute to building that ecosystem. This, by the way, resonates with me because I played a very big role in developing India's entrepreneurship ecosystem. You can read about that journey elsewhere. I've published that also. It's linked to from this blog series. Perhaps you're an aspiring entrepreneur and you want to learn through the process as you think through your options. So you could be a student, you could be a college student, you could be doing this, within your campus, and you want to build a campus ecosystem. You could write about that, and you could, use the same principles for that purpose. In any case, this is a soul-searching exercise. Find your mission, position your blog. If you're talking about geography, what geography? What is the perimeter of your geography from which you're going to draw, stories and so forth? What does positioning mean? You position your blog, but what does positioning mean? It means fundamentally, who is your reader? Where does he or she live? What is he or she trying to get out of reading your blog? Let's do an example. Let us say you're building an entrepreneurship ecosystem in the northeastern states of India, like Assam, Arunachal, Manipur, etc. Or you're doing the same thing in Ghana, in Africa. Your readers are aspiring entrepreneurs who are trying to learn how to build businesses and all the nuances thereof. Your content needs to be aligned with this agenda. It is very hard to be all things to all people. But if you position precisely, you can mean something to a segment of people who would come to love you. That is worth its weight in gold. I don't see any questions yet, so I will keep going, but please, by all means, ask questions. The next choice you're going to have to make is platform. What platform should you write on? When I started, most of us early bloggers were writing on WordPress. I set up my own domains from anamitra.com and built my site around WordPress. Today, you have many more options. LinkedIn has created its publishing platform. You can publish your blog on it. Medium and Quora are some other options. I have had a unique experience with LinkedIn that I will share with you. Around 2013, LinkedIn launched its influencer platform. It invited a small number of people to start publishing opinion pieces. My first major piece that took off on LinkedIn was called "Talented Women, Please Do Not Quit." It had about 350,000 views and 1,200 comments. It was very controversial, hotly debated, and it was the beginning of my close relationship with LinkedIn. In December 2015, LinkedIn named me as one of their top 10 influencers. Bill Gates was number 1, Richard Branson was number 2, and I was number 10. Today, I have a very large following and also multiple newsletters through which I engage a large audience. I have a best of bootstrapping newsletter, I have a cloud stock analysis newsletter, and then I do this thing called Colors by Ramana Mitra, which is to stimulate the Renaissance mind. LinkedIn has greatly enhanced their platform, and I would have no reservation in recommending that you start your blogging journey on LinkedIn. No problem. Medium and others can also be good starting points, and WordPress remains a very reasonable choice as well. WordPress is doing your own blog on your own domain eventually is going to be helpful because you want to collaborate with other writers. You want to syndicate content bidirectionally. So if you are publishing other people's content and you publish your content on other people's sites, you cannot do that on LinkedIn. For that, you're going to need your own domain and your blog on your own domain, okay? So note your platform strategy should take into account your monetization strategy also. If you want to monetize with advertising revenue, an extremely difficult agenda, very, very, very difficult to monetize a blog with advertising. You will need your own domain because you cannot do advertising on LinkedIn. You're not going to make money off advertising on LinkedIn. On the other hand, if you want to monetize with affiliate revenues, a much better model, which is what we're going to recommend in collaborating with us, you can start on any of the platforms mentioned above. And in general, I would say that even though you can start on LinkedIn, eventually you should plan on having a site on your own domain. That is my recommendation. I'll keep that option open. So now that we've talked about the blogging platform, what should you write about? What is your content strategy? If you look at my blog, I write about technology businesses. That is what I know about, and I know a lot about it. That is what I care about. That is what I'm passionate about. I don't pontificate about things I don't know much about. Within my domain of expertise, my writings are considered high value because of their depth of analysis. And if you look at my blog, you will see there is this whole technology stocks coverage that is deeply analyzed technology stocks. Because, in our ecosystem, the larger companies, the public companies, is how the entrepreneurs exit. It is very important for us to keep track of what the larger companies are doing, right? Then we have the Entrepreneur Journey series, where I invite entrepreneurs to come and share their stories in gory details, and that's the case study element of our blog. Then we have the Thought Leadership series of interviews, which is our trend coverage. Again, we invite people constantly to come and talk to our audience, and thousands of entrepreneurs come and talk to our audience. So I'm not pontificating. I have opinions, but that opinion is based on very deep analysis. And then I'm also bringing lots of people to collaborate with me in producing this content. It is a lot of work. Please do not underestimate how much work goes into producing the blog that you read. So you have to be, kind of mindful about what you take on. So now let's go back to the example we were doing earlier about ecosystem development. We were talking about ecosystem development, let's say, in northeastern states of India, Assam, Arunachal, Manipur, or in Ghana and Africa. Your readers are aspiring entrepreneurs who are trying to learn how to build businesses and all the nuances thereof. Your content needs to be aligned with this agenda. A great starting point for this audience could be writing about various aspects of building a business. We have published a large number of courses based on the 1Mby1M methodology on Udemy. You could do those courses and write about the topics that I have dealt with in those courses and directly engage your audience in that learning process. This, in fact, gives you a perfect segue into monetization through an affiliate partnership with Udemy selling our courses. Let us say you're writing about bootstrapping. There are multiple 1Mby1M courses on all the major nuances of bootstrapping on Udemy. These are all case study-based courses. You can write numerous derivative posts based on these courses. And you can then seamlessly monetize through affiliate commissions by selling those courses as well. In addition, you want to write about your local ecosystem, about the nuances of the issues faced by the entrepreneurs in your community. When I put developing the Indian ecosystem as a primary agenda of my blog, I wrote about the need for Indian entrepreneurs to focus on building products, not just services businesses. At that time, India was largely an IT services-based industry. You should also celebrate your local heroes. I have a strong belief that local heroes matter. I've always put the spotlight on local success stories in various geographies around the world and celebrated their successes. You can read a wonderful story called Bootstrapping by Piggybacking from Romania. Great story from an ecosystem that we don't hear much about. And that ecosystem needs to be developed as into a successful, powerful ecosystem. Let me check if there are any questions or comments. Okay, Krishna Guda is asking, how often do you recommend that we update our blog to remain relevant to the readers? Is there a structure or flow that you see as important to give the reader a good flow, or do you blog on topics that are being discussed in the ecosystem? All of that, the answer to all of those is yes, but the more thought through answer is, so we publish 3 posts a day, 3 to 4 posts a day. You don't have to do that. That's a lot. That's a lot of work. So I would say if you can do 1 post a day or 1 post every other day, that is good to engage your audience. And don't forget the fact that once you post something, you have to market that post, right? If nobody reads what you write, there's no point. So you not only have to write something, you also have to make sure that that gets read. So those would be my 2, direct comments. McLean is asking, do you recommend blogger.com? Blogger.com is fine. If you're doing your own domain, WordPress, blogger.com, all those are fine. They've all been used. Blogspot was another one. I don't know if they're still doing it or not. But all of those are perfectly fine. So I'm going to go to the next section. Please keep asking questions, and I'll keep coming back and picking up questions as we go through this material, okay? So, monetization strategy. This is the one that has killed many blogs, because there was no monetization strategy for blogs that made sense. The consensus today is that affiliate marketing is a good monetization model for blogs in general. Advertising rates are just too low to move the needle. Specifically for your entrepreneurship blog, I would say the best model for you would be to build upon the Udemy 1Mby1M affiliate program. Each of our Udemy courses cost $39.99 to $89.99, in that range. Udemy offers them at a discount from time to time for around 10 to 15. Once an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur discovers one of our courses, they will keep doing more. We're already seeing this behavior. People are buying, 3, 4 courses right away. They're buying 7, 8 courses right away. They're buying 10, 12 courses right away. So 10 to 15 courses per student is not unreasonable. $100 to $200 lifetime value per student is not at all unrealistic. Udemy offers about a 25% commission. So if you do the math, if you take 100 entrepreneurs and sell them 3 courses each, and you're getting, let's say, $3 per enrollment, that's about $3,000 potential revenue for you. If you take 1,000 entrepreneurs, that revenue goes up to $30,000. 10,000 entrepreneurs, $300,000. 100,000 entrepreneurs, $3 million. So that's just a ballpark of how much revenue you can build if you do this very systematically in a very structured way. The other thing we do is we provide content for syndication. So if you go click on the link content for Udemy 1Mby1M affiliate partners, you will find that content, and you're welcome to publish that content as guest posts from me on your blog. And you can switch out the links to your affiliate links. Even though they're my writing, in the original, you'll find our links, referral code. But once you get approved as a Udemy affiliate partner, you're going to need to replace those links so that you get credit by publishing on your blog. And that will also help you because syndication of content is something that helps you develop content momentum. Just like traffic momentum, you need also content momentum. People ultimately come to read content to a blog. Anyway, go dig around on the affiliate program. If you have questions, you can always ask. There's another trend emerging, but it is not available to small traffic blogs yet. It is called native commerce. This is going to require you have 1 million plus unique visitors to your blog, and most likely you're not going to qualify. So right now, I'm not going to spend time on this. If you do hit those kinds of numbers, come talk to me, and I'll get you, oriented on what to do with that. Okay, next topic is syndication strategy. So should you syndicate your content is a good question. I personally have had a lot of success syndicating to a variety of different media partners. Seeking Alpha syndicates my technology stocks coverage. I had a column on Forbes for several years that gave me global notoriety early on and gave me a platform from which to take on controversial subjects. In 2008, I wrote this piece called The Coming Death of Indian Outsourcing, and I got a massive amount of hate mail about it. The CEOs of major outsourcing companies were calling me to discuss that article. In 2009, I wrote Capitalism's Fundamental Flaw. That was on the homepage of Forbes for a month. It was right after the financial crisis. In 2013, Harvard Business Review published my piece, How to Reduce Infant Entrepreneur Mortality, which led to several interesting discussions and many more articles. In 2014, I wrote The Future of Education, 10 Trends to Watch for Economy. I've also syndicated to Small Business Trends and many, many other publications. So if you're a good writer and if you have interesting perspective, interesting opinions, interesting analysis, there are takers. There are people who look for good content. Let us say you start your blog on LinkedIn. You should absolutely start syndicating to other platforms right away. That includes Medium, Quora, etc. In addition, high-quality posts may be of interest to other higher profile publications. If you have something worthwhile and aligned to our content, we may be interested in syndicating for our blog. We have very high SEO ranking also. All this would help you build credibility as a writer. Someone credible endorsing you is of immense value. And then the bidirectional syndication is interesting, as I mentioned. If you publish other people may publish you. So there's a lot of give and take that goes on in this space if you do it well. A relevant topic, a natural segue is SEO, search engine optimization. What are the implications? I personally don't believe in a lot of artificial gymnastics around SEO. I've always written from the heart with sincerity and authenticity and with courage. People linked back to my posts because they were good, really good. My site has authority because it has very, very good content. We have published excellent content for more than 17 years. No small feat. Doing anything for 17 years is really hard. Doing something with excellence for 17 years is extremely hard. If you write good content on entrepreneurship, send us an email. We will include you in our weekly roundups and link back to your post. That will help you with SEO. Especially if you're building your blog monetization strategy around the Udemy 1Mby1M affiliate program, we would be very happy to help you build authority in the domain. To be clear, I am not discouraging you at all from doing SEO on your content. You should learn about SEO, you should optimize on keywords, but don't write gibberish that is search engine optimized. That doesn't create credibility. If anything, it destroys credibility. Authority requires authenticity, not gimmicks. There is no shortcut. There is another nuance I want to point out in the context of SEO, network with fellow writers. In the beginning of my blogging journey, I worked with other writers like Om Malik at GigaOm, Richard McManus at Read Write Web, and many others. We referred to each other's works, discussed trends, industry developments, etc. This is a very worthwhile exercise. Okay. All right, I have 2 or 3 more points to make. One is social media strategy. Social media is a lot of little things. You need a Facebook strategy, you need a LinkedIn strategy, you need a Reddit strategy, you need a Twitter strategy, and so on. The simple organizing principle I would recommend is to go where your target audience hangs out and engage with them there. Some of you are coming into the 1M Ambassador program from those communities. You have a community that you have built, and therefore you want to nurture that community in the different platforms they're in. Is there a LinkedIn group for your audience? Is there a Facebook group, a meetup group, a subreddit, all kinds of areas? Sometimes if you're in virgin territory, it may make sense to create a group. Maybe you're in a geography that doesn't have a group, so create one. Engaging in social media groups that are very focused can be very interesting, especially when your readership is very small. You actually get to know people individually, and they share with you what they're looking for. For me, one of the most revealing experiences early on was that people constantly asked me for advice on entrepreneurship. Well, at the time, I used to make a lot of money consulting, and I charged $5,000 a day. This is, 17 years ago. These entrepreneurs didn't have the money to pay me at that level. I knew about the need out there. So in 2008, I created free mentoring roundtables for them that are now approaching 600 episodes. Today, after I'm done with this segment, I'm going to mentor a couple of entrepreneurs, one from New Zealand and one from, I can't remember where the other one's from, but we'll find out shortly. Over 200,000 people, Dallas, Texas, actually. Over 200,000 people have participated in these events. We work with entrepreneurs from all over the world. These are safe working sessions. In fact, it was this experiment that led me to founding 1Mby1M in 2010. You never know how things turn out. Which also brings up the question, how should you engage with your community? Once you have a community, you have to make decisions on how you wish to engage with them. For us, the free public roundtables have been an excellent and scalable interface through which I engage with my global community. We see entrepreneurs from every corner of the world, including those in which ecosystems are immature, resources are scarce. Since 2008, when we started, I've had the privilege of working with entrepreneurs from Tanzania to Tallinn to Taiwan at these sessions. You can either create your own online roundtables, or you can also participate in ours. In fact, do both. We can collaborate, no matter where you are. Before the pandemic, I used to also host an in-person weekly rendezvous at Cafe Boroni in Menlo Park. Both local entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs from all over the world visiting Silicon Valley used to come to these. They were small, intimate sessions. Over the years, I've met entrepreneurs from Ukraine to Uganda to Uruguay in person in these sessions. I would host meetups when I traveled to a city. I would do events with local organizers. In Chennai, at my first event with Thai, I met Girish Masrubuttam, who pitched me Fresh Desk at the time, now Freshworks. The company joined our program in 2011 and went public a decade later at an over $10 billion market cap. They were in our program for 3 years. One day, after COVID, all that would return to the realm of viability, and you should consider those kinds of engagements and touch points. Meanwhile, virtual gatherings are working very well. The last thing I will cover today is metrics. What user and revenue numbers should you target? Be ambitious, but be realistic. Let's go back to the affiliate monetization model framework with Udemy 1M that I discussed earlier. 100 entrepreneurs can get you to about $3,000 in potential revenue. 1,000 entrepreneurs to 30,000, 10,000 entrepreneurs to 300,000, 100,000 entrepreneurs to 3 million. This is kind of like the framework. You have to obviously, if you have 100 readers, that 100 readers is now going to convert to 100 paying entrepreneurs. So there's a, conversion ratio and all of that stuff that you're going to have to work out. In any case, as a starting point, getting 100 entrepreneurs trained is a realistic goal. Getting 1,000 entrepreneurs trained is a realistic goal. Start with that and then, build on top of it. The question is over what time frame. It's hard for me to answer that question because I don't know how much time you plan to devote to this effort. Is this a side gig or a full-time career? Do you have an audience already that you're just now starting to monetize? What I will leave you with as guidance is the following. Monetize as you go along. Do not wait to get to large audience numbers before you start to monetize. There is absolutely nothing to gain by waiting. In many countries of the world, $3,000 is a substantial income. There are places where the cost of living is low. Entrepreneurship ecosystems are poorly developed. Ramping up 100 entrepreneurs with world-class training would make a real difference in building these economies. There are also entire countries that need entrepreneurship ecosystems to be developed. You could work with the colleges and universities in such places and train large swaths of ambitious youth. And then 10,000 entrepreneurs or 100,000 entrepreneurs are not unreasonable targets. If you decide to create a blog and become an affiliate, please join our 1M ambassador group on LinkedIn, where I will be offering more support and an opportunity to network around these ideas. All right, so that concludes the discussion on how to leverage content to build a community. Any questions before we move to the next segment of today's program? Srinivas Dharmadhikari says, what's your KPI for success for an entrepreneur from this program and how many have met them? Are you asking about the 1M program? The 1M program, we have certain metrics that we discuss publicly, like, what scale are we operating at from a community point of view, how many people come to our roundtables and so forth. It is not easy to track revenue because, the people whom we work with don't owe us anything. They don't need to come back and report that this is my revenue currently. So we don't always know what is their revenue level unless something big happens, like, right now Freshworks is a public company and we know what their valuation is, we know what their revenue is because they're a public company. We've had exits, we know which companies have exited, we know some of the companies that have disclosed their revenues, but so your point on KPI is a very tricky one for us. But, I would say we are touching at this point many 100,000 people. We're probably more than 1 million people come to our website every year. And, as I said, over 200,000 people have participated in our roundtables. So it's, those are the numbers that I can tell you right now. In time, at some point, I have some interest in doing some economics modeling, but that is not going to be for a while. We still have a lot of work to do on the core 1M program building, but maybe in 5 years or 7-10 years time frame, I'm going to start working on economics, and that's when you should ask me that question. Okay? Anybody else? Any other questions before we move on to the mentoring section? Well, you can ask questions at the end of the session as well. So I would like to start working with, some of the entrepreneurs. What could happen out of this effort, this massive entrepreneurship development effort that some of you are taking on for your regional geographies, etc., is that together we could build 10 million aspiring entrepreneurs and give them this foundational knowledge of, let's say, a couple of 100 hours of world-class tech and entrepreneurship training. And 1 million of these can hit $1 million revenue mark. And as they do, venture capital will flow into communities as they produce fundable deals. Venture capital flows into a community when fundable deals start to happen. And unicorns will emerge in communities as they mature. You know, Chennai has unicorns now because we started all this work so long ago, right? It's been 11, 12 years before a unicorn came about from Chennai. So it's long-term work, long-term economic development work, but the foundation that we need to build in every community is let's start by giving thousands of entrepreneurs this couple of 100 hours of really solid world-class technology entrepreneurship training. Contacts. You can reach us at support@1Mby1M.com anytime, and you will get an answer. Irina Patterson on our team will work with you most likely. And let us know about your community. If we know about you, what community you're working on, what you are developing, we will be able to also connect dots for you. Definitely get approved as an Udemy affiliate. You know, no monetization will begin until you get yourself approved as a Udemy affiliate. And please feel free to use these roundtables, weekly roundtable discussions for ongoing conversations. Any questions you have, you're very welcome to come back here and ask. All right, Seshu, could you please turn on your video and unmute your line? Let's look at your company.
Morning. Thanks, Ramana.
How are you?
That was a wonderful presentation, actually. I started making notes for this blog strategy, which we need very much at this point of time. So.
Okay, good. So what is mKonnekt?
All right. So morning, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. In a nutshell, mKonnekt is a customer engagement platform. Next slide, please. Again, you gave me a format, so I'm going to go with that flow.
Please do.
All right. So we are based here in Dallas, Texas. We started the company in 2016. A little bit about in terms of like our profiles and all those kind of things, and that's my picture, by the way. All right. If you look from our perspective, we as mKonnekt, we are actually focusing on the restaurant industry. We started within the restaurant industry, and our customer is like someone who is either an owner or a chief marketing officer or a CEO of any kind of a small chain to start with, who's actually looking to implement some kind of marketing technology for their restaurants. And the way we are trying to position our company when we go to these customers is saying that, hey, listen, like for you to, if let's assume if you're a franchisee owner or like you're trying to start a new franchisee or a restaurant, rather than talking to multiple people, mKonnekt is like a one-stop shop for all your products, like from a marketing standpoint of view, right from the website to loyalty program to everything. We call this as like a customer engagement platform, where we are trying to focus on the different aspects when it comes to a customer interacting with a restaurant brand. Next slide, please. Right. So in this case, like when we are talking about, again, from a value proposition point of view, we have come up with these 5 phases of a customer journey. We call this as an A to A model, awareness to advocacy. Again, going back to your ecosystem of like trying to engage like the brand advocates, right? Similarly, we are saying that for a restaurant, you need to kind of create awareness about the brand and start engaging with those customers when they either go to their website or to the social media pages and convert them into actual customers. And this conversion can happen online or third party or in store, and then making them repeat customers and in turn converting them to brand advocates, which kind of lead to more awareness. So mKonnekt as a platform enables restaurants, again, I'm going back to the restaurant industry, so that's what we have been focusing on, to manage all these interactions. We have built multiple applications that enable these interactions and get data during this process, as in during these interactions, and use this data to kind of fine tune or for better marketing outcomes. Next slide, please. So with that value proposition, what we have been going after a few customers, or our customer segmentation is those who are either starting a new brand or who already have maybe few locations and trying to implement a marketing solution, or we are also positioning our product as a franchisee development from a marketing standpoint of view. And then so that they can actually have all these systems in one place. Again, our focus is on the marketing aspect of things. So we are, let's assume we have a chain with whom we are talking to and saying that, hey, you have 7 locations here, rather than going for online ordering to Olo, loyalty program to some other system. We have the capability to implement with our platform, and also add on to that the services itself for this particular small chain based here in Dallas, and with integrations to multiple other components within the restaurant space.
Okay.
And so far, our go-to-market strategy has been through referrals. So a little bit brief. We have started the company as a marketing agency and slowly morphed into, or still in the process of morphing into, a more of a technology/product company. So far, we've been getting through referrals. We have had customers with us since the start of our company, and they in turn have been referring to others. We've also started reaching out over the past 1 year. We have started like using LinkedIn and FB groups and other social media channels to kind of find who are these target customers. Again, with the content strategy that you've been talking about, trying to create content saying that, listen, like we know what we do from a marketing standpoint of view with regards to restaurants, with regards to customer data. So we are building Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, and all those kind of things, and trying to position ourselves as the go-to platform for any restaurant marketing needs when it comes to, like, someone is talking about how can I start a restaurant, or what kind of a business plan I need to have to start a restaurant, and all those kind of things. And slowly over the past like 10 months, we have started implementing what we call as for the ecosystem. We are within the restaurant ecosystem. We are going after partners in terms of POS vendors, in terms of credit card merchant processing companies, where we are positioning our product, and also a franchisee development companies, where we are positioning our product as an add-on to what they're doing.
Okay.
So as I said, like, we've been in business since 2016, and we've been generating revenue. And over the past few, actually, I would say that a little bit of a pivot when it comes to this customer engagement platform. We have just signed a pretty big contract with a large retailer, and also signed a contract with a 30-unit restaurant chain here in Dallas. So, and from a delivery mechanism point of view, from our point of view, is like, again, technology is only one piece, but also the implementation from our point is very crucial, given the fact that within the restaurant industry, whether you take a big franchisee or whether it's a local mom and pop store, they do not actually have the time to understand, like, or basically the manpower resources. So that's where we are trying to focus in terms of both the services and the product.
Okay.
And in terms of the challenges, again, these are the challenges that we are facing with regards to, like, how to grow. Again, as I said, like, we still are doing services, but our main point is it possible for us to pivot away from services and build an ecosystem where we can train people, like you are doing brand ambassadors. We are trying to train others in terms of how they can use our platform to implement, like marketing agencies and all those kind of things, so that they can actually use our platform and we become a pure play platform company itself. So these are some of the challenges that we have been debating internally, and also trying to grow.
Let me go back to something you said a little bit earlier. Talk to me a little bit about what partnership work have you done? Are you familiar with a company called Toast?
Toast, yes.
So Toast is doing a PaaS strategy, platform as a service strategy. Are you working with them? Are you part of their marketplace?
So we are actually integrated with few point of sale systems. Clover is one, Focus is another one, Square is another one. So we have approached Toast as well in terms of implementing, but given that right now it's on hold. So to answer your question, POS vendors is one of our go-to-market strategy in terms of so that we can actually, our platform can be plugged into POS system and make, we call.
So that is not, are you a reader of my writings?
Sorry?
Are you a reader of my writings?
I do, yes.
Okay, so you are familiar with my writings on platform as a service and bootstrapping by piggybacking and all that?
Mm-hmm.
If you're not, brush up on that stuff. And I think Toast is trying to do a platform as a service strategy, and that may be a very good scaling strategy for you to go become part of their marketplace. So I think from a scaling strategy point of view, that is one that I believe you should explore. So why don't you do some homework, and then if you want to work with me on this, I will be happy to guide you. This is a topic that I have studied inside out, and a very good friend of mine is actually talking to Toast about taking the job as their head of platform as a service. So if he does take that role, and they're trying to do like the Shopify of restaurants kind of platform as a service strategy. So if he takes that job, I would have a lot more, inside track into that. But in any case, if they do that strategy, somebody is going to lead that program. And the more important thing for you is that that's the direction that they want to go. And that could be a very, very good scaling strategy for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So do that homework, and then please come back and talk to me if you'd like to, work with 1Mby1M. You're very welcome to join the program, and I'll be happy to guide you at a more granular level.
Okay, absolutely.
Now, Maureen, where do I find Felix's slides?
It's there.
Sorry. Okay, Felix. PickMee.
Good morning. Yes,
Good
PickMee.
morning. It's
Good
very,
morning,
very
everyone.
important, right? The next day.
Yeah, we're in New Zealand at the moment, so it's 5 a.m. in the morning, so that's why it's good morning for me, maybe good afternoon for everyone else around the world.
All right. Tell me what's happening in PickMee.
PickMee. So we're matching awesome tenants with great landlords. So PickMee was born based on my own struggles as a tenant to show my rental credibility in securing a home for my family when we first came to New Zealand. And also for Kelvin, who's my co-founder, who is struggling or has struggled to find the right tenant for his apartment. So let's have a look at the problem. Would you go to the next slide, please? So the problem, there are 1 billion people on the move globally each year. Home ownerships are declining year on year, starting at the moment or sitting at the moment at 60%. So renting is becoming the new norm. But although it's the new norm, the rental process is antiquated, form filling exercises over and over again. So securing a home or finding a tenant is challenging for both sides of the equation, for the tenant as well as for the landlord. So the tenant, they are on average applying 10 times before they can secure a home. Trust me, happens to 1 million people every day, form filling over and over applications. Then on the other side, landlords are facing vacancies up to 2+ weeks, which causes them yield reduction of 2% per week. And if a landlord would, for example, engage a property manager, or we would call it maybe agent in the US, those property managers, they spend too much time finding the right tenant, screening the tenant, calling the referees and so on, and it is averaging 4 hours per property let. So the digitization is coming, similar what music we see for music, what Apple has done, or PayPal for the payment industry. So what PickMee is doing, we're redefining the rental experience, specifically the tenant landlord / property management interaction. We're the first in the world who have built an identity-centric reputation platform for the global rental industry. So we are equipping tenants, as you can see here on the slide, with their own fully pre-screened, independently verified global tenant CV, which can be shared, driven by the tenant platform agnostic. So landlords and property managers, they can consume the same CV and make better decisions based on the data. The whole entire platform, based on our history, where we're coming from, Calvin and myself, is built on data security and is privacy centric, so that we can keep everyone safe out there, because it's data, it's the data of the tenant. So this is the main focus, to keep everyone safe, because we have seen data breaches across the world when it comes to property management and the identity theft. So looking around the world, yes, you guessed it, we are on that little two islands on the right-hand corner. But as you can see, renting is unique across the world. So with a total addressable market based on our subscription model, which I will dive in shortly, there is a TAM of 6 billion with a total obtainable market of 3.3 billion across the world, with our major key focus areas as highlighted on that specific slide.
Felix, so typically for TAM, we look for bottom-up TAM analysis. What is this? What kind of TAM analysis is this? Because you jump to TAM without stepping us through your business model or pricing model, which is what we need for bottom-up TAM analysis. So I don't understand what TAM this is. Can you help?
Yep. So business model, there's maybe a reordering thingy. If you maybe can go a couple of slides back, then I can explain another one. Yeah. So business model, the core revenue streams is a subscription model. Tenants are currently for free. We will launch coming this year a premium profile for tenants with more features. Landlords pay $60 per tenancy and tenancy renewal. Property managers would pay $1 per property per month. So with having said that, and there's more or less a split between 40% managed properties around the world and 60% are DIY landlords. That revenue stream applied to the overall rental stock in the various areas comes to that kind of TAM. And thanks for the question.
Okay, so this is a bottom-up TAM analysis.
Yeah. So thanks. Maybe the reordering should be better. So it's perfect. Maybe with the reordering, so how do we go to market and how do we attract customers? So we have a high virality potential. What we know from the data we are seeing is that, as mentioned initially, tenants are applying to 8 to 10 properties anytime. So they would apply with their PickMee profile at property managers and landlords, and so on and so on. So we have an inbuilt on-ramp of new customers, and we have launched earlier this year what you can see on the right-hand side with just 3 property managers with each just 100 units in their portfolio, and 2 landlords. We see that the ecosystem with 1,800 users. And we aim to have 1 new property management company with at least 100 users on our platform month on month, which gives us that kind of scalability and growth. When you look, growth is good, but how does the competitor align to that kind of area? Well, this is the New Zealand competitor analysis, and the competitor analysis is similar across the world for each of the territories, because all the competitors are focused on their own market, whereas PickMee is global from the start with the 1 billion people moving globally, and we're the only one who are tenant focused. So our first customer is the tenant. Tenants are at the core, because without tenants, we won't have landlords. So that's why we want to give tenants the best chances to share their rental profile platform agnostic. They get access to their full entire data, including the credit score, as well as what the referees, so landlord referees, have said about them. And then a couple of table stakes we have with digital tenancy agreement and digital signing. And also, as mentioned, data security and privacy is at the heart. So that's why we are unique in the market across the various territories I highlighted. Can you go to the next slide? And we can deliver it. So we have a team who can deliver that one. So between Calvin and myself, we have spent 35 plus years in IT security and IT security and data privacy, both coming from PwC, Deloitte management consultancies. Kelvin, former head of analytics. I'm a seasoned management consultant in that kind of regard. We are a well-oiled business marriage. We have worked on earlier startup together. We have worked at the management consultancy together for over 8 years. On the other side, the team has a strong capabilities from PropTech founders down to Uber customer support and developers who are part of award-winning digital innovation teams. Taking that team into consideration, let's have a look what our projections are for the future. If you could, perfect. So we will be able to reach 1 million annual recurring revenue in a year and reaching 100 million annual recurring revenue in 5 years, as you have highlighted with with those kind of focused markets based on the global TAM of 6 billion. Well, 100 million sounds ambitious, but that's the scalability. And as you have seen, we have the kind of virality. So break it down. When I'm just talking for that 1 million, so 1 million annual recurring revenue can be secured with just 29,000 properties on our platform. So it's feasible and achievable. So in summary, we are there for the 1 billion people who are on the move each year. We are equipping them with a global reusable pre-screened tenant profile, redefining the rental experience. The traction we got indicates a product market fit, and we have the track record to deliver it. Want to know more? Be part of the vision? Please feel free to contact.
So I guess you jumped from concepts of what you're doing and what's the competition and to this ambitious target, which is fine. There's some things missing in between from here to there.
Yep.
And that main thing that is missing is what go-to-market strategy gets you to that? What is the cost of acquisition? Like, as you said right up front, is that without the tenants, there will be no landlords, there will be no property managers. What does it cost for you to acquire those tenants and set them up? And one of the points you made about these competitive landscape is that none of these people are global. Well, you can't be global either right away. You have to go market by market because it's a hyper-local business. You can only have landlords participate where you have a critical mass of tenants. So you have to go geographic city by city or neighborhood by neighborhood, whatever, but something that is fairly hyper-local. So I haven't seen, those are the things that I have not seen, which makes that jump from, to 1 million and 100 million kind of not credible because you haven't stepped me through that. And that's going to be the investor perspective. Like, what does it take to bring up a geography to critical mass where there are enough, enough tenants and enough landlords, property managers, so that transactions can start happening, revenue can start flowing. What is the investment required, and when does it break even? How long does it take to break even? How much investment does it take to break even, etc. So that's what I think is missing from this pitch.
Yeah, spot on.
I think that you are. So tell me what brings you here? You came here with a particular objective, I imagine. What is that?
Yeah, I think the objective of the session was to get an understanding if it flows, and as you've seen, it doesn't flow because we had that kind of, we have played around the cadence of the slides, and we got this cadence from a requirement from a VC that they want to have it in that specific structure, but it was a little bit bulky, and it had that kind of natural flow. And you support our gut feeling that it doesn't flow.
You wanted feedback on this side. Perfect. That's actually perfect. To all of you who are listening, if you're trying to create a pitch and you want feedback on whether it's flowing or not and what is missing, come here and I will give you a very quick assessment of whether it's flowing or not, because we have a lot of experience in doing this.
It's perfect. And I totally agree, and thanks for the feedback. That kind of playbook, that market playbook, what are the minimum participants we need, what are And we know, well, we have all, I think the slide is missing because we have all the insights, what kind of markets, what kind of cities are good, from which city to which cities are the tenants moving, where are the high ratios between landlords. And so we have to put a little bit of structure into there to at least show one playbook for a specific region to de-risk that kind of
I am
1
the
million.
investor, right? If I role play with you, if I'm the investor, I look at this and I say, okay, fine. I love the idea that you're going to get to 100 million in 5 years, but show me how. If I put in $1 million into your company, if I put in 5 million into your company, how does that, become 5 million or 50 million, whatever, what are the programs? What is the customer acquisition strategy? What is the customer acquisition cost? What is the lifetime value of the customer? How am I moving through financially? Last week, we had a very interesting conversation with an investor. You may want to go look at that.
Yep.
He was saying that, tell me the story through a financial map.
Yep.
Right? So you can tell me a conceptual story. Of course, everybody starts with a conceptual story. But the more fleshed out financial story you can tell me, the more I can relate with it as an investor. It's like, okay, I put in $1 million. This is going to happen. I put in 5 million, this is going to happen. And eventually to get to 100 million in 5 years, this company is going to require that much money. And this is what's going to happen. This is how we're going to move through that journey. Tell me that story in money terms.
Yep, that's good. Financial map, love it. Perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
So that's it? Yeah?
Yep, that's it.
Very good. All right. Good
Shauna,
luck.
quick question.
Yes, of course, please.
So I think one of the objectives for me to present, obviously, apart from giving you an update in terms of what we are doing or what mKonnekt is all about, also want to see how, if 1 million by 1 million, if the program that I would like to join is a good fit, we are a good fit, and same vice versa as well. So how is it possible? Is it possible for us to have a call later, or how can we basically?
So I will do that exactly. I'm just about to do that on how to use 1 million by 1 million. So hold your question, both of you, and any of you actually out there, and I will go through that, and then you can ask your questions following that.
Yeah.
So if you like what we do here, by the way, please bring serious entrepreneurs, refer serious entrepreneurs to 1 million by 1 million. Just like we do a lot of, this heavy lifting for you. Please help us a little bit by referring people. Everything is at 1Mby1M.com. All these questions actually you're going to be asking me about how to use 1Mby1M.com is all spelled out on our website. Very comprehensive website. Self-service comprehensive website. You're going to get a bunch of things on the website that are very, that are free or very inexpensive to learn from, which is the blog. It's free. And I've talked a lot about the blog today. And the Entrepreneur Journeys book series is where we started kind of publishing some packets of Entrepreneur Journeys as specific topics and books. So you can find them on Amazon. These roundtables happen every week. You can come back as many times as you want to and listen. You can pitch for free once. After that, if you want ongoing engagement, you should join the premium program. As long as you're doing an IT or IT-enabled services venture anywhere in the world, you are very welcome to be part of 1 million by 1 million. What is not a good fit for us are, like very, very capital-intensive, like biotech stuff, right? Medical devices, pharma, drug discovery. If you're doing software for drug discovery, that's one thing. That falls within our purview. But if it's like big life sciences stuff that has a lot of regulation and FDA and all that, that's not our sweet spot. We don't do that. So by and large, what we do falls within the realm of kind of like a bootstrap first, raise money later methodology. The full acceleration program is 1M by 1M Premium. That's where you get to interact with me every week and tap into my network. We help you with financing. We help you with getting to fundability, all this like iteration on pitches and getting you ready for to be sent out to investors. When you're ready, in one afternoon, I could send you to 30 investors. It will take me half an hour to send you to 30 investors because we have the relationships. We have relationships with hundreds of investors. That's not the issue, though. The issue is, are you ready to be introduced? That's where we spend most of our time, is to get you ready. We have a great curriculum. So in the premium program, you'll have access to the entire curriculum right there. If you want to start with, bits and pieces of curriculum, that's when you can start with Udemy. That's why we have made all these little courses available on Udemy to get you started. You can also just join the premium program and you have the entire curriculum at your fingertips. And then we have sessions like this for doing the actual mentoring. The self-assessment is a good tool for all of you to use in preparing your pitches. These are the VC due diligence questions, and you have to answer them. So, run this test on your pitch, and that's always very helpful. There is a bootstrapping course that is just under 1 hour. It's a free course that is available on our blog. If you haven't done it, I strongly recommend that you do it. And I talked a lot about the Udemy courses already. You will find, about 30 so far Udemy courses that you can start with. You can also do 1Mby1M Basic, which is curriculum only from 1Mby1M, $99 per month. That is another way to access the methodology. So whatever works for you is fine with us. We're giving you lots of options of how to start, how to get going. And, feel free to use whatever works for you. Dig around on the website and see which mode works for you and use that mode. These days, by the way, whether you're in New Zealand or Dallas or whatever, financing is happening on a global scale. Silicon Valley investors may be perfectly willing to fund a New Zealand company. If you present a good story, good financial story, as I said, you could raise money in Silicon Valley. So COVID has done something very interesting to the startup ecosystem. What used to be a hyper-local ecosystem, people didn't want to invest beyond 5 miles or 15 miles of their residence, is now a completely global phenomenon. So people are raising money on Zoom calls and so on, and talked to lots of investors who are happy to sign checks just purely based on Zoom interactions, which is phenomenal, you cannot imagine how big a change that has been for the startup ecosystem. Now, our curriculum is entirely case study based. You will find the description of the curriculum on the website. I'm coming to Q&A in just a moment, so I know there are a lot of questions. I will take those in just a moment. Our work is all case study based, so everything is taught on the basis of case studies and video lectures. Lots of interviews with investors, with entrepreneurs, etc. Investor introductions, we have a very specific policy. You should go over it. If you're joining the program seeking investor introductions, please go over this section of the website. Investor-entrepreneur fit is super important. Our mantra is lean, capital efficient, bootstrap startups. Bootstrap first, raise money later. Do not go to investors as beggars, go as kings. That's it. We have a lot of clout in the media. We can get a lot of visibility for you. We have 2 more roundtables in November before Thanksgiving, and then we have more in December. You can dial in and ask questions. I'm going to pick up questions from the public chat right now. Malka Amartunga, you asked a question. For the content blog we write, does anybody from the affiliate program help with the proofreading, fact-checking? No, you're completely on your own. Nobody is going to do proof-checking and fact-reading for you. Felix says, thank you for the feedback, invaluable to you. Thank you. I'm glad you found that helpful. Now, we also have Krishna Guda, do you share 1M premium program revenues with your ambassadors? If not, would you consider this? We do not have this facility set up right now. But if we are actually okay with paying a commission to ambassadors. We don't have a scalable infrastructure set up for this. So if you can, establish that ambassadors brought in premium program members, we will be happy to work something out with you. If you become an ambassador and you bring in premium members, we are happy to pay commissions for that. This is something that we have tried to do in the past. If there were no takers, it didn't really work, so that's why we kind of let it go. But in principle, we're not opposed to it. Srinivas Dharmadikari, are you willing to be the Gordon Ramsay of startups and tell them how it is? I have been Shromana Mitra of startups. I have no desire to be Gordon Ramsay of startups. I am Shromana Mitra of startups. And I have a global reputation of my own.
Quick question.
Yes.
So coming back to the earlier thing, right? In terms of, we are trying to bootstrap, but also specifically, like I'm interested in terms of from a positioning standpoint of view and also scaling perspective, right? Like you talked about Toast. We have already approached them. So I was just wondering, is it possible for me to reach out to you and get more insights specifically from a 1 million, the program itself, as to
questions about the program? You can contact Irina at 1Mby1M.com. She will be happy to do a phone call or a WhatsApp call, whatever you want with you to answer your questions. But outside of these roundtables, if you're not a premium member, I don't take any other calls.
So for a premium program, like, is there any specific time period that you say I'm available for like half an hour a week or like one
Premium program has these kinds of roundtables every week. So usually it's on Wednesday mornings. We have once a month, we do a Monday evening call for people who are in Asia or other geographies who want a different time zone. But typically it is on Wednesday morning calls, and you can come every week and spend some time. It really depends on how much time you need. But mostly what we see is you have to do a lot of work. So I will guide you. I will ask you to do this, and you're going to have to do it. So it's not like you need time with me every day. That's not productive.
Yeah, no, more from a guidance point of view itself.
Yeah, the guidance, you can basically come to roundtables, private or public. Basically, you have 2 touch points a week, a private and a public, and you can come ask questions in each of those.
Got it. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else? I don't see any other questions, folks. Do I? All right. It looks like we are done. Take care, everybody. And again, for those who celebrate, happy Diwali. I hope you have a wonderful celebration, but be safe. Bye. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for your time. Awesome session.
Bye.